Welcome to all the kings who are part of this Patreon platform. Today, as promised, I'm going to teach you guys how to isolate the woman's foundation, how to isolate her world, and how to isolate her mind so that you may obtain full control psychologically over your woman. Now, you know, if you control a person's mind, that you control that person. I'll say this once again. If you control a person's mind, you control that person. I started to talk to you guys on YouTube about leverage, about not giving women leverage over you. But then I came to Patreon. And as you guys know, on YouTube, I give you balanced content. But on Patreon, I tend to give you dark content that are taboo, forbidden. Things like very controversial topics, or like I'm doing now, how to control a person by getting into their head and into their mind. But this kind of subject is only for the discipline and the man who have a level-headed, logical mind. If you are impulsive, if you are highly emotional, you will not have what it takes to put this into practice. This is why I am telling you, this is dark teachings. It is considered dangerous if fallen into the wrong hands. I am going to try to give it to you, brothers, as I believe those of you here on Patreon who stick with me have a good heart, but you are used to the crazy women that we have out here, the women that are out of control, disobedient, the women who are actually a liability, something that may cost you money, your sanity, and your children, which means your legacy. So with that said, today we will talk about isolation, how to isolate the woman. Now, you guys know when we are talking about a person who is an abuser, the first thing they like to do is isolate the person away from their family, their friends, in order to make the person vulnerable so that they may dominate the person's mind and feed the person mentally what they want the person to eat, mentally speaking. Okay? Now, you also know a cult will do the same thing. A cult will isolate most people from their family members, their children, their wives, their husbands, because they're trying to get you alone. Isolation is very important for mind control. You understand? I am teaching you guys aspects of mind control, not some basic cookie cutter game. So today I'm going to teach you guys how to isolate the woman. Of course, not to abuse her, but to put her in her rightful place, to obey you, to respect you, to do as you say. So here we go with this knowledge and this wisdom. The first thing you want to do when you meet a woman, you want to establish a frame. Now, I'm not talking about the typical cookie cutter, everybody repeats masculine frame. That is not what I'm talking about. Now, of course, you need a masculine frame, but you must present yourself as some form of a humble teacher, someone who helps people look deep into their souls. Nothing creepy, just something that you do. You like helping people, okay? The reason you're presenting yourself this way, you want this woman to get this idea that you are a person who have something to teach, and she may ask you, how so? And you'll say, well, first of all, I got into this because for whatever reason you may come up with. For me, it's because I like to help people. I like to see people do better. And I have a gift that allows me to see the greatness in people that they don't see themselves. And I'm capable of seeing what holds them back. And I'm capable of making them see things in a better way that can make them grow. So this is what I do. And once I realized I had this gift, I decided to share it with other people and help them, of course. Now, for me, this is natural because this is something I actually have. It's actually a gift. This is why I have a podcast. this YouTube, this Patreon, and so forth. Now for you guys, it's something that you can learn, and it is something that is of great importance. That is number one. Set yourself in a frame that is a teacher, okay? You're going to pique her curiosity. Why? Because you're planning on teaching her, okay? You want her to be interested in things that you do. And in this case, it's teachings. The second thing you're going to do, and please take notes, my brothers. The second thing you're going to do is deal with her foundation. You're going to find her foundation. This is the process of isolating her mind. Now, the reason a woman does not like to be isolated is because she knows that she is at her weakest when she is isolated. The same goes for anyone who is isolated. When you are isolated, you are at your weakest point. You are by yourself. No man is an island. That is what the saying says. This is what the proverb explains. So what you're doing here, you're making this woman an island. Now, of course, you may not be able to remove her physically from her family if she's living in a state with them. You may not be able to remove her from them in the sense of communication if she have a phone. So she may be able to call them, friends, and so forth. All the bad influences she may have in her life, the people that are in her ears, the ones who run back to their mother and to their fathers. Every time you guys have an argument, every time you have a problem, they seek someone else to tell them how they should deal with you. You understand? So you need to isolate that, because that is her foundation. Once you can isolate her away from that, you will be able to have her, and you'll be able to program her mind your way, the way you want her programmed. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Foundation. Her foundation is her support system, what she falls back on, what keeps her grounded. Even though women are all over the place, they have a few people that they can go to that's going to help them when they are in trouble. You understand? They have someone to cry on. They have someone to ask for advice, someone to confide in. What you want to do is eventually slowly attack the ideologies of the persons she relies on. Slowly and very subtle. You don't want to look like you're trying to destroy this frame of mind she is in from someone that she trusts. You understand? Because if you come across that way, most human beings are psychologically wired to fight you once they think you're trying to change their mind. For example, religion is a strong belief. Okay, it is a foundation for many people. If you try to change someone's religion, the first thing they do is get angry. Hence, do not talk about religion. I'm sure you guys have heard that before. Another thing, politics. Politics. Most people have strong, grounded political views or political sides. They don't really know why the heck they believe in them, but they have those sides. If you try to change their political party and affiliation, they get very angry, because that is something that their parents and grandparents probably passed down. And to take that away from them, you're taking away everything positive in their lives that they associate with that political party, such as their mother or their father, who gave them this political party since they were 18 years old to choose. You understand? So if their parents are dead, they feel like you're taking away their parents from them, that you are desecrating their memory. This is why when you're changing someone's fundamental beliefs, their foundation, you need to be subtle. You need to be gentle. You need to come across as if you're not even aware that's what you're doing. You understand? Now let's do this. When you find her foundation, you have to break her foundation. Now, before you break it, what you want to do is make sure the foundation does not align with something you want. Of course, if her foundation is telling her that she should cook for a man, you're not trying to break that. Let her cook for a man. After all, you want her to cook for you. You understand? However, if her foundation is teaching her something that does not align with your philosophy and your agenda for her, you need to break it and remake it. In other words, you will make it in your own image. Let me give you brothers an example. First thing you do, you meet a woman, you find out what does she respect, things she value in her life. You may hear the general, you may hear things like God, you may hear things like family, you may hear things like love, right? Now what you're going to do is go into details. You're going to find out how she views love. What God is she talking about? What religion is it? If it is a religion you're not familiar with, you're going to get familiar with it. I am not telling you to practice it. I'm telling you to understand the basic principles of it. If it is family, you're going to understand how she views family. And you're going to use that because she holds those things of high value in her mind. You're going to use that to help you break whatever philosophy, foundation, ideology, thought process, mind frame that she may have in order to remake it in your image, to redo it, give it a makeover to your advantage. This is still about leverage. You are going to completely hijack this woman's mind. Now, this is basic level I'm giving you guys, but for most people, this is deep level, right? Because not many people have heard about this to the degree I'm going to explain it, okay? Now, what you want to do is understand that this is dark teachings, guys. You can use this on other people besides women, even men, even your supervisor, even your manager. Once you perfect this, it's dangerous because you can control people. So please don't be evil with this information. Now, using the things that she hold at high value, the things that she uphold very high in her life, such as a religion. Let's say she is Christian. If she's Christian, what kind? Is it a form of Catholic Christian, evangelical Christian? What kind of a Christian? So you understand she reveres the pastors. Even if it is not her pastor, she believes it is a man of God. That is an example. Now, let's say she have a friend of hers who she confides in. Remember her foundation, who she falls back on, right? Take notes, my brothers. Her foundation, let's say for example, is a friend, and she falls back on this friend. Now this friend have told a girl a relationship is 50-50. Okay? He don't have no power over you. It's 50-50. Her mother have told her it's 50-50. Her simping father or stepfather have told her it's 50-50. So she comes to you and she says, well, I don't believe anyone necessarily have any power over the other one. A relationship is 50-50, right? Now, without having to fight with her, you're going to break that frame of thought, right? You're going to break that foundation. Watch me connect the dots. The first thing you want to do is say this. You use something that many dark psychology practices sometimes called a sleight of mouth, right? It's certain words that you say that attacks the heart of their argument, but you do not necessarily come at them in any vicious way. You look as if you're lost, right? You look as if you have a genuine question. You may say something like, but let me ask you, I'm just curious. Do you believe a relationship could really function if it doesn't have a leader? You know, I'm just asking. And she may tell you, well, you know, if both people communicate, or she may say, well, yeah, you know, the man is typically the leader. Now she's going into roles because women will contradict themselves, right? This is you causing her to actually start to break her own philosophy, right? But she's not aware of it yet. Okay? Now, what you want to tell her is, for example, I used to believe that. Now, I used to believe that is a key sentence in reprogramming her mind. It shows that you share or you shared her beliefs. However, I believe over time and through listening to some great teachers, I have discovered something even better. Now, she's going to tell you, so you heard a great teacher that basically showed you something that is better than a 50-50 relationship? And you'll say yes. And you'll say, you know what? You know the importance of a pastor. You know the importance of a man of God. Because now remember, you understand what she holds at high value. It is a pastor. You already brought in this, I used to believe that way regarding the 50-50 relationship, right? But then, this great teacher changed my mind. And as I spoke to many pastors, not just one, and I heard them teach, and they showed me a philosophy, in my opinion, I believe is superior. And that philosophy is that it's the 100-100 philosophy. And she's going to tell you, okay, what do you mean by that? Elaborate. And you're going to tell her that everybody have 100% power. The woman have 100% feminine power. And the man has 100% masculine power. And when the two come together, something beautiful happens. Even beyond the idea of producing children, right? It doesn't take a 50% woman and a 50% man. It's 100% each. And bringing 100% of each of those energies make a relationship balance perfectly. Instead of trying to take a piece of each other's power or each other's roles as man and woman. A man should always be a man to his woman. Likewise, a woman should always be a woman to her man. Now, she's into this deep philosophical thing you just explained, and she's going to say, yeah, that makes sense though. It's just that, what I meant by 50-50 is just that nobody should be disrespecting anybody and stuff like that. And you're going to tell her, well, you can't disrespect each other if we're functioning in our respective energies 100%, like, the man of God said. Because once the two energies work together at 100% of their respective energies, such as feminine and masculine, then now they're in harmony, and that's that perfect balance. You see what I'm saying? And she'd be like, I see what you're saying. And you can tell her, look, I could break it down for you some more. I'm not trying to make a big philosophical conversation about this, but if you like, I could break it down with you some more and show you all the beautiful things that I learned from this. Because when I heard it, I was like, wow, it was amazing. Now, what you're doing here, you're using someone or a position, a rank, a status, such as a pastor, that she respects so much, right, as a way to get her to change her philosophy. Now, what happens when she starts to believe and you start to teach because she wants to open up and understand more about 100% feminine and 100% masculine? First, you start with the masculine and you talk about all the beauties of the masculine and all of what it provides for the female. Even if she doesn't deserve it, we're not judging her here, okay? We're not saying all women deserve this. We are getting into a woman's mind. I am teaching you how to program her mind. You're isolating her, not physically, but mentally. Of course, if you can do it physically and she's down, you can do that to give you more time to work on her when she's away from her friends. And once she say that, you say, you know what? Come see me Monday. Come see me Friday. You pick a day, and on that day, you give her a beautiful conversation of that philosophy and how interesting it is, in a soft voice, having some light drinks, some laughters in between, right? You're getting her mind programmed, and you tell her, you know what? We should do something like this similar every Friday, even if it's about a different subject, but about relationship and stuff like that, because I think this kind of communication is healthy. In her mind, she's having communication. Women like communication. They love that attention, right? They like talking, right? But what she doesn't realize is, one, you're making her talk. You're finding out everything she relies on. You're finding out all of her foundations. And you are slowly changing everything that you don't believe in and making her see it your way. And then you tell her, you know what? Let's try to practice this, me and you. I'm going to show you some of that energy that I was talking about from the masculine, and you reciprocate that with the feminine based on what we covered. And you guys start having that dynamic between each other. You may say, for example, the masculine energy is leadership, it's protecting, it's providing, it's direction, it's a rhythm, it's a pattern, it's something you can follow, it is strength. Right? It is the warmth to his woman. And she's going to think that sounds all sexy and macho and romantic as she's looking at it. But subconsciously, by saying the masculine is the leader, you're telling her that the feminine is the follower. One more time, subconsciously, as you're telling her the masculine is the leader, you're telling her the feminine is the submissive and the follower. Do you understand? The masculine is dominant. Right? You're dominating all the problems in our lives, baby. That's what we're doing. That's what the masculine does. Dominate the problems in our lives, taking the big issues and making them small. That is what I'm here for. This is the beauty of a relationship when me, myself, the man, is operating in the masculine energy 100%. And the beauty that comes out of you is uncomparable when you are functioning in 100% feminine. But as you slowly start to break down those philosophies, the yin and the yang, the light and the dark, as you see on your screen, you understand? She is subconsciously going into the frame of the feminine, trying to mimic and complement your masculine as you're teaching her, making it seem like it's all lighthearted jokes. Now, the reason you're doing this, once again, the reason you're going ahead and you're starting to make her move away from the ideologies of her mother, her father, her friends, even a pastor that she may hold high. You may try to break and show a flaw in his teachings using the Bible, which she most likely will see as superior to the pastor because it's coming from Jesus, right? This is all tactics. And what you're going to do now is replace that pastor with another pastor, even if it's one you made up. You'll be like, I can't remember this guy's name, but he said this, and it's right here in the Bible too. Solid. Just do a Google search. You don't have to know the Bible, right? Google search. And it's most likely probably in there, right? This is for the reason of making her dependent. Now, if I never said this before, let me say it. And if I said it before, let me say it again. There is a reason why women hate being dependent. You brothers ever realize a woman always say, I'm independent. I got my own money, my own car. I got an education. I could get everything for myself. I could do everything for myself. I don't need nobody. I don't need a man. Now she needs a man, but then she goes even further. So no man could tell me what to do. I don't need any man trying to boss me around. You see, women love to be independent because they don't want to be told what to do. Women equate dependency on being told what to do. One more time. Women equate dependency on being told what to do. She believes if she is dependent on a person that gives the person the rights to tell her what to do. Therefore, she does everything in her power, especially the black woman, everything in her power to make sure she is independent. But that is all material. Because we understand here on boss level understanding that a pimp in a very independent, gynocentric, feminist world where a woman can be independent and do whatever she want to do, a pimp can make her go ahead and sell her own pussy at her own time, risking her own life, her own health, her own sanity, her own mental health, her own soul. All the risk is on her just for her to bring him the money. And he give her a cut sometimes. Sometimes he feel like punishing her and he won't. You understand? That is power from the psychological perspective. But you must understand how that is capable. How we are able to get that done. A pimp or a man who just have the understandings like I do. Let me give you guys another quick story. Story time with the brother Limba, right? One time I was talking to a girl, fine girl, right? She was a dime, they would say. Red bone, light-skinned black girls. For those of you who don't know what the term red bone is, right? A Georgia peach, some call them. She had a fat ass, nice rear end, right? Beautiful features, sexy lips, beautiful eyes. She cut her hair short. She dyed it goldish blonde like an amber rose. Body on point, looks way better than Amber Rose. Men are all over her, but she ain't checking for them. She was letting me mess with her at the time. I was the guy having sex with her at the time. But I was using these psychological patterns on her. Dark level understanding, teachings, and practices. Right? Now, of course, I was not doing it in order to harm her. I was not doing it in order to make her go to the streets and sell her body because I snapped my finger, even though I could, right? But that's not what I was trying to do. I'm not a wicked man. I'm only doing this to put women in their proper places. I got in an argument with her one time. Well, I wasn't arguing, but she started to argue, and I told her, there is no arguing with me. She kept going. I told her, silence. She wanted to keep going, and then I told her very calmly, putting this practice into play. Knowing what I already set in her mind, I told her, get up, leave my house, and I never want to see you again. Very calmly. I told her once again, grab your things. She didn't have many stuff, just her shoes and a purse. Leave my house, because she was hanging out with me, I believe, at my house at the time. And I said, I don't want to ever speak to you again. Now, when I first said grab her stuff and leave, she looked shocked. Now, when I said I never want to see you again, the psychological programming kicked in. She had dependency, my brothers. Without me having to tell her anything, she dropped to her knees. She started to have a panic attack. She had an anxiety attack. She dropped to her knees begging me. On her knees, she knew not to say I'm sorry standing up. I didn't have to tell her to do that. She was on her knees, apologizing. On her knees, saying that she's sorry. She said, I can't live without you. She started choking. Phlegm started to come up. Now, I wasn't her boyfriend, but I had this mental hold over her. She begged me. She said, please. She said, quote, I need you. Now, this is a gorgeous woman. This is a woman that makes more money than I do. This is a woman that can date NFL players if she wants to, based on them looks that she has. This is a woman who can date millionaires, who have men really gunning for her. The reason I'm telling you brothers this story real quick and taking this quick break to tell you the story is so that you may understand that I am giving you guys jewels to add to your crown. Remember, on Patreon, we don't just kick our feet up and grab a cold drink. We are polishing our crown. Our crown is our wisdom. It is our mind. I'm giving you jewels to add to your crown. That is what that is all about. You understand? Another woman upset me one time as I was driving in a car with her. And I stopped the car and got out of the car. She immediately jumped out of the car and got on her knees in the middle of the street. Good thing it was a small street. Not many cars were coming, and it was at night. Now there were people around. And she said, "I'm sorry," on her knees in the middle of the pavement on the streets. She said, "Please forgive me so I can stand up. Everyone's looking. I'm embarrassed." And I told her, it is not the people you should be embarrassed in front of. It is me you should be embarrassed to upset and to offend. She said, "I understand and I'm sorry." And I told her, "Go ahead and put some gas in my car. I'm running low. Do that as a token of showing your apology in a financial way." Now, to some people, what I just did in those scenarios are abusive, but we, the Red Pill Men, know this is not abusive, okay? But I just wanted to show you guys the power that I can have and that I've had from using these techniques. These things are proven by psychologists to work, what I'm telling you guys. This is scientific fact. There are data backing these things up. This is what you call dark psychology. It is dark teaching. It is the yang. On YouTube, I balance the yang with the yin because it is a general crowd of men who may or may not be ready. So I give you guys balanced content. Over here, I teach you things that are dark, things that you can use on your supervisor or your boss. You understand? So I am hoping that I am teaching this to a bunch of good-hearted, savvy, righteous men. I'm giving you power. It is not to be misused. Now, these women in the stories that I just told you guys about, including the whores to a pimp, they are dependent. What you are creating is dependency, because the human mind depends on a set of rules in order to function. We reason everything that we do based on how we were brought up, based on what our peers would think, based on what the person we uphold the highest will think because of what we do. If you never had a woman tell you, "I am afraid to disappoint you, I don't want to disappoint you," you haven't been doing anything right. You understand? When it comes to interacting with women, you are creating dependency. You are taking everything she depends on, everything she knows, her 50-50 talk, her "I'm not cooking for a man has to prove himself to me." You're taking all of those ideas, right? And you're shattering those. And you're slowly and smoothly inputting your own, changing her paradigm without upsetting her. As I told you guys in the beginning, when you try to change anyone's fundamental beliefs, whether religion, politics, their upbringing, their culture, they tend to get upset. They get upset because they have something called a cognitive dissonance. When you hold two ideas that you hold true in your mind at the same time, and you don't know what to do with them, and they're contradicting each other. You understand? So in order to not even let her realize the cognitive dissonance, when you're trying to bypass the cognitive dissonance, you're trying to make a smooth paradigm shift, which is a change of mind. Those are all psychological terms, right? You're making a smooth change of mind, aka paradigm shift. You're trying to skip the cognitive dissonance where she realized her mental contradiction that's pissing her off, so that she doesn't get angry and not listen to what you're saying. You want her to be receptive. That is the idea of what you're doing. That is why you're using the sleight of mouth, which is another psychological term. The sleight of mouth. Terms like, "I used to think that," you really think so? Words like that. There was a time someone was telling me this. And then this very wise man, I think he was a priest, he butted into the conversation and he brought another perspective that I found very intriguing, very interesting actually. And guess what? You just painted the man with a different view from hers to be very wise, to be very intriguing, to be a pastor, to be someone she holds high. You understand? A mother, a single mother, whatever she holds high in her mind, that is what that person is in your story. You understand? Now, the next step, to continue this dependency, to continue isolating that woman's mind. Remember, number one, you frame yourself as some form of a teacher because you want her to be intrigued and open to what you teach, to philosophy, to understanding, to building, to helping, to finding the best in someone. You always see the best in someone, so you don't spend time judging people. That's what you tell her. You want her to open up to you, right? Number two, you want to find her foundation. This is why you're not a judgmental teacher. You are an open teacher that only looks for the best in people. Try to understand why they made their bad decisions and build them, not tear them down, right? Things that women love to hear, right? Because why? Once she starts telling you who she relied on when she went through whatever she went through, once she starts telling you where her support is, it's the Bible, it's the church, it's reading books, it's songs, it's Buddhism, it's yoga, whatever the heck it is, you're going to use that foundation to find out what that foundation teaches her. What does she take from it? What does she believe from it? Why does she believe it? And if it is going against what you want, you will slowly shatter it using the sleight of mouth. You understand? You will slowly shatter it using words such as, well, I used to think that way. I used to believe that way. There was a time when this man was telling me this and someone else butted in. This very wise guy I met one time said something a little bit different from yours. Then I asked him, based on what you said, I told him, the same thing you're saying now. And he made me see it a different way. But let me tell you, I didn't want to take it at first, but this guy is brilliant. It is a smooth way of diving into someone's beliefs, attacking it at the core without them even knowing that you have injected their belief with a poison and you're killing it slowly. And then you smoothly attach the idea you believe is superior. You understand? Your idea, what you want. All right? That was number two. You will find out her foundation. Anything in her foundation that goes against what you believe, you will break and that you will become. Okay? The next thing regarding her foundation is you will find out who in her foundation is her greatest support. Who supports her through emotional trauma. And you want to find out how. And now you have greater power than that person. How so? Because as you imitate what that person does for her, making her rely on you, you get to add sexual energy to it since you're the guy having sex with her. You understand? You get to talk her out of her emotional trauma before she even gets to her friend. You get to make her feel good, make her feel comfortable. Then you kiss her. Then you caress her. Then you hold her. Then you penetrate her. Then you go ahead and you screw her brains out. Then you kiss her softly. And then you give her some more of that support that her friend used to give her. Completely eliminating her friend because you're not only adding the same psychological reliance that her friend provides, right? You are also adding sex to it, which is another emotion that feels great. And she'll be so immersed in all of those emotions, she won't even know what hit her, making her completely dependent on you. That is the second part to the foundation, right? Breaking, making, and becoming it. You want to become her foundation. Once again, number 3, why? Because you want her to be dependent, making her dependent on you. In a woman's mind, whoever she depends on can control her. Whoever she depends on can make her do what they want her to do, which is why she fights so hard to be independent, right? So we're going to make her psychologically dependent on you. You got her right where you want her, right where you need her. Number 4, introduce doubt. Introduce doubt. The introduction of doubt, to have someone doubt themselves, have a second thought, question their beliefs. It is still a sleight of mouth. If someone says, for an example, well, I believe that Trump is the greatest president ever, you would say, you sure about that? I mean, I think he's pretty good, but you sure he's like the best ever? And then you pause. Now, the reason you say he's pretty good, even if you don't believe in that, right? You're getting them to doubt and think and look for another one who may be as good. By the time they start telling you Reagan or another Republican president, if that's what they believe in, you are already in their mind. You already added doubt. They're no longer seeing Trump as the only president that stands on the pantheon of president gods. He's no longer on the pedestal, and if he is not by himself. You understand? So now the person is seeking to justify which aspect of Trump makes him the greatest president of all times. The same go for whatever ideology a woman brings to you, right? You say things like, who told you that, right? Who told you that? And they'll say who, right? And then from there you go, yeah, I mean, if you know the person, you can say, well, it's a smart person, but, I heard something else, and this other person was saying this. And then you give them a philosophy and present it to them in a way that is not offensive, which is the sleight of mouth. You're not telling them, man, that's bullshit. That's not what you're going to tell her, right? You're not going to go ahead and be too aggressive about it, right? What you want to do is question her former authority, if it is her mother, her father. That's what your mother told you. Where do you think she got it from? Maybe her grandmother. Tell her, well, I like to look at the results. If you look at what you're saying, it seems to be working this way, this way, this way. For example, the 50-50. The 50-50 worked this way, this way, this way. But its weakness is, I believe it doesn't take into account the respective roles and the energy they bring. Everything on this planet is energy. You understand? So everything brings an energy. And at 50-50, we cannot fully manifest the energies of what we have to bring. We have a divine essence in her. Especially if she's not an atheist and she believes in some kind of a God. You tell her we have a divine essence in her, right? And if she's too zealous and she's going to tell you, well, I don't consider myself divine. Like, no, I'm not saying you are divine. I'm just saying that we have a divine essence. You believe when God breathed into man, he breathed into the clay and he gave it life. God was putting God essence into that man, into that woman. You understand? Giving her something to make her go, oh, okay. And you start explaining those essence to be the masculine and the feminine principle. Used in a good way for good things can only bring great things. You see what I'm saying? You want to raise doubt. You question her former authority. You question the beliefs. You understand? You question the origin of the beliefs, like, who told you that? Where did you hear that? Very calm, not arrogant, not looking like you're trying to trap her. Look like you're really curious. Let her talk and then slightly and smoothly enter your point. You understand? Another way to do this, besides doubt, I'm going to give you guys something a little bit more advanced, is when you start to get her to agree on a certain things. For example, you said, a man is supposed to be strong for his woman. A man is supposed to find solutions for his woman. And she's like, yes, yes. A man is supposed to protect his woman. Yes, yes. A man is supposed to be a good leader for his woman. And she goes, yes. See, the way the brain works is you can drag someone into agreeing into something. You start giving them a few things they will say yes to. And then you quickly speed up the pace and give them something else that you really want them to agree with. And then they'll say yes. You understand? Like, for example, a man leading his woman. You see? And And then you go ahead and you say it again. A man protecting his woman, a man, solving problems for his woman, a man providing for his woman, a man leading his woman. And she's like, yeah. And that's the beauty of the masculine, girl. That's what you tell her. Now what you're doing is you're getting ready to set her up for the feminine being submissive and a follower of the masculine's leadership. That is why you dragged her into those yes line of questionings, knowing very well she would say yes for the first 2 or 3. You understand? This is why you can't be judgmental. You want her to trust you, to confide in you. You want to have a calm voice, a confident glance in your eyes as you speak to her. You understand? You want to imply and suggest your frame. That is the 5th one. Imply and suggest your frame, which is what we've been doing. That is just the conclusion of it all. You understand? Imply and suggest your frame. When you come with that frame as a teacher, you can either suggest it or imply it. And you keep doing it throughout your interactions with her. Like, oh, that's what I do, Oh, I'm online all the time. I teach, Oh, can I see what you do online? Nah, that's only for, specific people. It's very confidential. I don't share it. I promised them I wouldn't. The same way if you told me something, I wouldn't share it with anybody else, right? You don't need her to see what you're really doing. You're just telling her that. You're implying it, you're suggesting it. You're talking to her. There was one time I was teaching a young lady that was having trauma or problems from her past. And she told me this. You give her a similar story that seems like something she's going through. And then you give a solution that actually saved the girl's life, right? You imply it. Not telling her what to do, but you imply that frame. And she's going, that's very similar to my issue. She's saying this in her mind. And now she's going, maybe I should try that. Maybe I should do that. Why don't you ever teach me? Women have told me this before. Why don't you ever show me? You never showed me that side of you. And you may even apply this frame. Let me give you something else. A frame that says, well, I don't always like to tell people or teach people. You got to be very special to me because it is the most precious part of me. And I'm sure you can understand that because I can see that you're a person who have, special qualities to yourself. I may not be able to pinpoint all of them right now off the bat, but you seem to have special qualities to yourself. And I can tell that you appreciate, someone appreciating the most precious side of yourself. And the most precious side of me is to teach and tell people the secrets of what I know. But the person have to be deserving. They have to be really special. You see what I'm saying? And women are so high on their egos, they're going to try their best to try to say, why don't you teach me? You don't think I'm deserving? You don't think I'm special? You may say, well, I don't, you are. But the thing is, you also have to be ready. And she may say, come on, what am I not ready on, And you may say, well, I guess it's how we vibe. How well do we connect and stuff? She's going to go, well, we've been connecting. We've been vibing. You're just playing with her mind. This is a basic reverse psychology in order to imply and to suggest your frame, making her want you to bring her this brainwashing. You understand? Or as one of my brothers put it, brain cleansing. You understand? So once again, guys, I hope you've been taking notes. Rewind this video, watch it multiple times, right? You want to frame yourself as a teacher. You want to, number 2, that was number 1, frame yourself as a teacher. Number 2, a foundation. Find out her foundation, okay? Her foundation philosophies and the person she confides in and what they do for her that makes her confide in them. How do they make her feel better? Reason why? You're trying to see what her philosophies are. You want to isolate her from them in order to bring your own, unless her philosophies already align with your own. The second part of foundation is you want to find out who her friends are and how she depends on them, who does the most for her out of her friends, her parents, or whatever, who she confide in the most. Well, how do they make her feel? And you want to try to replace that person with yourself, combined with sex, combined with physical affection that she can't get from that person. You will become superior than that person. Why you want to do this? Because you want to make her dependent on you. When a woman is dependent, she believes that person have the right to control her. That is why women fight so hard not to be dependent. Dependency is number 3. You want to make her dependent on you. That is the reason why. Number 4, you want to introduce doubt. Still using the sleight of mouth. You're not going to call anybody bullshit. You're not going to say they're lying. You ask a certain form of questions that make them doubt it. You use a certain frame of words that implies that you have found something superior. For example, I used to believe that way. Or I met a very wise man. I met a very wise pastor, using something that she holds of high value if it's a pastor. I find I was speaking to this guy. I believe he was a imam, right? I think that's the Muslim mosque leader. Yeah, I think he was an imam if she's Muslim, right? And he said something that was very profound. Use certain words and you say it in a certain way. Notice how I said profound. And when he said it hit me. It hit me deep and it cut, but the cut healed me, you know? And this is what he said. You're finding someone she highly respects and you're using that status of that person, or the status period, if she doesn't know the imam or the pastor or the mother or the football player, whatever that person may be that she holds high, right? That is why you wanted to know her foundation. You did a recon exercise on her, right? So you're using that person now in order to make her believe there is a superior way, in order to change her belief to believe it your way. And that person that is of superior status always believe things the way you believe things. You know what I'm saying? So that's the point of all that. You create that dependency, making her dependent on you. You introduce that doubt. You say things like, I used to believe that way. What makes you believe that way? Where did you get that from? Who told you that? Certain things like that, but not in a mean way. Like, I'm just curious. Like, why do you say that? Like who told you that? Like, where did that come from? I just want to know. Okay? This makes people think. They can't really get mad, but okay, maybe I should question my thoughts. The minute you question your thoughts, you're doubting yourself. You're second guessing yourself. You're letting me in your mind. You're letting me in your thoughts. You now belong to me. Dark teachings. And the 5th one, of course, you imply and suggest your frame throughout the entire interaction with her. You keep talking about what you do. You keep talking about, there was a guy who came to me today, or a girl, and she had this problem. It was so crazy, and I was helping this young lady. Let me tell you, the love that I felt, the passion, you know, and the way her life changed. And she was so worried, thinking that I would judge her. And she was so amazed to find out that I was not the judgmental type. And I just wanted to heal her and make her better, because I truly believe that's what I'm on this planet to do. What do you think you're doing right there? This frame that you're setting, you're implying something. You're implying that people can come to you, that she can come to you, that you love helping people, that you don't hold their past against them, that you do not judge them. Everyone is special. Everyone is light. So you cannot just look at the small darkness that has tainted their light. Instead, your job is there to remove that piece of darkness and make them shine even brighter. You understand? My brothers, I don't want to hold you guys too long. I hope that you've been taking notes. But do understand why I am careful with these teachings. And I'm just scratching the surface. I got things to teach you guys how to control the mind of your boss and everybody around you, especially when you're meeting them for the first time and you get a clean slate with them. I'm talking about from the get-go. It's even easier. You understand? So once again, my brothers, thank you. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for hanging with the MLC. Thank you for being a patron. And thank you for getting this knowledge. Go over these videos multiple times. I don't just drop entertainment. I drop knowledge. I drop wisdom. And I drop power. Use them to gain control over your life, starting with the women in your life. You understand? Stay in your boss frame. Stay with that cold drink. Stay with your feet kicked up. You understand? Keep polishing your crowns. That's your wisdom. By learning more things. And I'm going to keep giving you jewels to add to your crown, so you may keep shining bright. That is what I do. You understand? Thank you. Now what's coming for the Mr. Limba channel on YouTube and on Patreon is some live streams. I'm also going to be discussing game, as game has been asked and requested for over a year. I think over 2.5 years actually. And I kept telling brothers, I'm not a dating coach. What I do is just teach you wisdom and relationship interaction. My brothers, since I do not like to teach game, you will still have unlimited Red Pill content right here on Patreon for just $3 a month. But for game, if you want the Red Pill and the game aspect, I will make that a $10 tier because it takes more work out of me. And I teach you guys game that work throughout different countries, and game that works with women who are not whores, women who are virgins, women who are extremely, extremely religious. So you guys may be able to have a wider range of game, not to play games. I'm talking about a strategy in order to get the women you need. So since that's been requested, it's been highly requested, and I kept telling brothers I don't really discuss game, but I can see that game is necessary, and I can see that many brothers actually want to hear game from my perspective, because I think they want a man that's balanced and a man who's giving them something for the long run, which is what I'm doing. I'm not just giving you something temporary that you'll forget. I mean, if you're 20 years old right now, by the time you're 50, this will still resonate in your mind. This is lifelong wisdom you could pass down to your own children. You understand? Like, for example, this type of isolation process is something you can do with your own daughters if you have daughters. And of course, not for sexual purposes, but for the purpose of keeping her away from the wrong guys, so that she may choose a man that you deem worthy, keeping her legs closed. You understand? And if you start this with her early, she won't even know. And you'll be able to keep your daughters pure so they don't fall into the whoredom that is in this society, in this gynocentric system. That is what I'm doing. I'm giving you guys jewels that will last you for the rest of your lives, and jewels that you can pass on to the next generation. That is what I do here. This is your brother, Mr. Limba, your fellow king, Mr. Limba, the mystery Limba. All right. Salute to you all. Thank you. Respect. Please comment. I enjoy your comments. I realize many of you guys don't come back to Patreon and comment, so I'm probably going to open the comment section on YouTube for the Patreon platform. Okay. So please comment. Please leave your feedback. I also have a phone number coming soon, so you guys may do a counseling session with me if you guys want to talk, so I can break some things down for you guys on a one-on-one level. I have a lot of knowledge to drop. You guys have no idea. The live streams are about to be fire. I'm going to have some great guests coming over on the show. Stay tuned. We're going to have a blast. If you want that game, once I make that $10 tier, you could hop on board and we could chop up some game. This your brother Limba. Until next time. Peace.